everybody. Welcome to yoga. Thanks for joining me. I'm Miss LJ, and today we're going to need some paper, something to write with, and something soft like a blanket or a pillow. So take a second, just get everything together, and then join me on the mat, and we'll find a nice, easy seat together. Take your time. Once you've got your paper and your pen or your pencil, you can just set it by your mat with your blanket. Let your hands just rest down on your thighs. Let your eyes close. Let your shoulders try to drop down away from your ears. And think about reaching up through the crown of your head. Lengthening up, getting taller with each inhale. Letting your shoulder blades move down the back with each exhale. Just breathe here with me. Try to relax your jaw. Relax the skin around your eyes and around your mouth. Now slowly release your chin, reaching it all the way down to your chest. So you feel a nice stretch through the back of your neck. Try to pull your shoulders down and back. If it feels okay, you can take your hands behind you, interlace your fingers, and start to straighten your arms as you reach your chin down. Maybe you lift your wrist away from your low back. So you feel a stretch down the tops of your upper arms and your shoulders. Now wherever your arms are, give yourself a double chin, kind of tuck it in, and slide your gaze up. So you're looking up. Take a nice big round of breath here. Try to keep the chest lifted. And then bring your gaze back to center. Wherever your hands are, bring them back to your thighs. Cup your knees with your hands. And on your inhale, lift your chest, roll the shoulders back, look up. And as you exhale, round your spine, tuck your chin, and just start to move with your breath. Inhaling to open up. Exhaling, rounding the spine. Take another big round of breath here. After your exhale, just let it all go. Shake out your wrist. Give your head a few circles. Maybe move one ear toward your shoulder and then go to the other side. And then just start to swing your arms from side to side. You can have your hands up to about shoulder level, or they can be lower, down here, maybe a little both. See about making some circles with your hands, kind of like you're an airplane. Try to flex your wrists like this, so your palms are pushing out. And then start to go from one side to the other. Maybe you touch the ground with your hands. Just imagine your shoulders and the top of your back opening up, starting to warm up a little bit. And then come on back to center. Again, shake it out. Give your wrists a nice little shake. Make little fists, your fingers. And do the same thing with your feet. So we're going to come into boat pose, Navasana. So you can always have your hands down here. See if you can do it with your hands up. Find the balance. You might straighten your legs here, or you might keep your knees bent. Try to keep your chest lifted here. And now start to circle your ankles around. Whether your legs are straight or not, just find some movement. If you want, you can have your arms up. Or again, you can have your hands down to kind of hold you in place and help with balance here. It's a lot of work for the core, so you'll start to feel kind of a burning sensation down there, and that's completely normal. Just try to keep it going. 3 more rounds of breath. Move your toes around. Let your feet move around. Oh, and then let it go. All right, so just find a forward fold here. Let your arms go out in front of you. Try to relax your neck. Let your head come down. And just breathe here. You can sway from side to side. Find some movement if you like, or you can just be still. Take 1 more round of breath here in your forward fold. Walk your fingers out as far as you can. Inhale to come all the way back up. And switch the position of your legs. So if you've got one leg in front of the other or your ankles are crossed, just go the opposite way. Bring your back leg in front. And then inhale the arms up. Forward fold. As you exhale, you'll feel this stretch in your other hip. So you may take it a little lower, or you may kind of keep your chest lifted here. You can stay up on your fingertips if you want. Just find what feels right for you, and then relax your neck. Try to let your head just kind of hang here. You can sway again from side to side. See how that feels. Or you can just hold stillness. Take 1 more round of breath on this side. Come up on your fingertips, and then inhale to roll your way all the way back up. And let's start to stretch out our legs a little bit. So walk your feet out, or slide your feet out. Sit up nice and tall. Bend your knees a little bit. Imagine you could lay your chest onto your thighs. So after that big inhale, as you exhale, reach your chest forward. Let your hands come down. You may be able to get your chest onto your thighs, maybe kind of inch yourself forward a little bit, but try to avoid rounding your spine. Try to keep your spine nice and straight, even if that means you lift up a little bit. So we want the back to be as long as it can be, so that these muscles can stretch out. You can take your hands to your hamstrings. These are the muscles that we're focusing on, the backs of the thighs or hamstrings. And these are commonly really tight. Try to relax the neck. And you can keep your hands on your hamstrings if you like. You can also grab your big toes with your first 2 fingers. Slide back. And then hooking your fingers around your toes, send your elbows out wide. But again, try not to round the back. Try to keep reaching the chest forward. And now inhale. Let's come up nice and slow. All right, so let's find some movement. Before we do that, we're gonna grab our pen and our piece of paper or a pencil or whatever we've got, and just find 3 things that you're grateful for today. So maybe in order, maybe in no particular order. Just write 3 things down that you are grateful for. You can put it to the side, you can put it under your mat, whatever you want to do with it. There you go. And then you can just take your pencil, paper, whatever you got off to the side, and let's make our way into downward facing dog. So, hands plant, curl your toes under, send the hips up and back, try to look back, and just give your legs some time to stretch out here. So you can let the pose be messy. Remember, we want the back to be long. Don't worry about bending the knees. They can be deeply bent here as long as the back stays nice and long. Slowly come up onto your toes and start to walk your feet forward. Try to stay up on the balls of your feet if you can. And then when you get to the top of your mat, or when you get up to your wrist, just hang over your legs. You can grab your elbows and just fold here. Maybe sway from side to side. You might bend one knee kind of deeply and then the other. Take your hands to your calves, just like we did with the hamstrings a moment ago, and just feel those muscles. You can get down into the backs of your heels, your Achilles tendon. We talked about that in our last class when we were in a squat. So let's come into a squat right now. We'll talk about our Achilles tendons some more. So these tendons, a tendon is sort of like a muscle. It just doesn't get quite as much blood flow, but it's connective tissue in your body. And this particular connective tissue, it's really easy to injure. You can feel it. It feels like a really thick cord right in the back of your ankle. And we call it the Achilles tendon because in Greek mythology, Achilles was a demigod who could only be killed if this part of his ankle was pierced. And he was killed in the Trojan War. But back to yoga. You want to keep these tendons well taken care of. You don't want to tear them, you don't want to strain them, so you want to be gentle. If you have the heels too low, you can strain those. So you want to stay up on the balls of your feet until maybe you get ready to let the heels come down. And you can play with kind of coming up and coming down, or coming forward and coming back. Just be gentle. So find a comfortable squat. Bring your hands together, press your knees wide, and just hang out here for a second. We start to open the hips up, try to draw the shoulders away from the ears, relax the neck. Keep pressing the palms together. Try to grip with your toes, just feel the work that your feet are doing. Parts of our body that we normally don't pay a lot of attention to. You can feel your toes sort of gripping the ground, holding you in place. All right, so from here, take the backs of your hands down and just pour a little bit of weight into the backs of your hands. Curl your fingertips towards your wrist. And you can see I'm kind of moving backward and forward. Just playing with letting that weight come forward and then taking it back. Just warming up the wrists for when we start to let them bear some weight. All right, so in our last class we focused on a lot of upper body strength, and we'll be doing that as usual, but we're going to focus on the lower body as well. So let's begin in chair pose. Start to make your way up, bring the feet together. You might want to shake out your ankles again. The Achilles tendons might feel a little tight after being in a squat for that long. So shake out your ankles and then bending your knees. Make sure your feet are nice and even. Squeeze your legs together. Take your arms up by your ears and then try to slide your shoulders down away from your ears. Try not to round forward or find your chest parallel to the floor. Try to stand, or rather sort of sit up straight. Even as you kind of drop it down low, if you can, take your weight into your heels. See if you can pick up your toes. There's a lot of balancing going on here. And then come onto the balls of your feet. Try to pick up your heels. See if you can sit down low. 3 more rounds of breath. 2 more. You got it. 1 more. Take a big inhale, and then let it go as you exhale. Fold over. Relax your neck. And then inhale to lengthen the spine. Look forward as you exhale. Bend your knees, plant your hands, step your feet back to plank pose. We're going to take this first sun salutation nice and slow. So while we're here, holding the plank, we're going to rotate around. Just making circles. We're on our hands and the balls of our feet, or you can be on the knees. So feel free to be on your hands and on your knees. If you want this to be really hard, you can stay in push-up position or plank position. Make sure you're going both ways as you circle around. If you've got your knees down, you can go back rather deeply, almost like you're moving into child's pose. All right. So let's come back into plank. If you're not already there, try to bring the shoulders forward of the wrists so you can see you're kind of coming forward onto your big toes, shifting forward. Hug the elbows in, and as you breathe out, start to lower down. Come all the way down. Let the hips come down. Keep the shoulders in. Try not to let them flare out. Tops of the feet will come down. Start to pull the chest forward. Sort of giving yourself that double chin again, and then sliding the gaze up. Keep pulling the elbows in. Take another inhale. And down dog. As you exhale, send the hips up and back. Bend the knees as much as you need to. And then drop the knees down. Sink the hips back to the heels. And find child's pose. Take a few rounds of breath here. You can find some movement by walking your hands from one side to the other. And also, if you want, rest your forehead down on your blanket or on your pillow. All right, so now that we've found a little bit of movement, let's keep it going. So we're going to come back into down dog. We're going to start to speed up our sun salutation as we get things a little more involved and start to speed things up a bit. So in your downward facing dog, take your right foot up and back. Bend your knee. You can let the hips stack open. Start to step that foot forward. Try to pull your knee into your chest. So it's not down here, it's way up here. Step the right foot forward. Spin that back heel down and then come up as you breathe in. And here we are in Warrior One. So you've got this right angle in your right knee. Your knee is directly over your ankle. Your back leg, your left leg is super straight and you're pressing back through the outer edge of your left foot. Try to pull your shoulders down your back. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Try to keep the core powerful. Notice if you're bending your back here a lot. And if you are, try to sort of tilt the hips forward, almost like you're zipping up a tight pair of jeans to get that bend out of the back and lengthen out the spine. Take one more inhale here. And then as you exhale, lengthen forward, plant the hands, step that front foot back. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, back to down dog. This time, take the left foot up and back. So we move to the other side. Bend your knees, stack open your hips. This is a good place to notice which hip may be tighter than the other. So if this hip feels a little tighter than the first side, just be aware that this side might require a little more love and attention than the first side did. So again, as you breathe in, try to pull this knee in as you step your foot forward, sort of like you're in slow motion. Spin the back heel down. Start to come up, pressing down into your foot or into your feet as you come up to give yourself a little more balance and a little bit more sense of stability. So in warrior poses, you want to have this sense of strength and almost, power. But it can be really difficult to find that because your feet are sort of in this odd position. So wiggle them around as much as you need to. If you need to take your feet wider, that'll give you a little bit more stability. Try to make your hips face forward. So both of your hip points, those little bones right here, are going forward like headlights. If this foot is too far back, your hips aren't going to be able to close. So bring it as far forward as you need to. Take another inhale here, and then reach forward as you exhale. Plant your hands, step that front foot back. On your exhale, lower down, the elbows in. Inhale, lift your chest. This can be upward facing, so you can have your hips off the ground like this, or you can have the hips down and the elbows bent. Just keep the shoulders drawn back. Take one more inhale, and then as you exhale, back to down dog. Take 5 rounds of breath here. Breathing deeply, try to inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Make any movements that feel good in your body. And let's jump forward on our next exhale. So bend your knees, keep your weight in your hands. At the base of your exhale, we're going to bring the feet forward. So take a big inhale. Exhale it all out, and then hop your feet forward, taking as much weight into your hands as you can when you bring the feet forward. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, fold over your legs. Inhale, roll all the way up, nice and slow. Take your arms out and up, gaze up, and then exhale your hands into heart center. Shake out your feet, shake out your ankles. And now let's take the feet nice and wide. So let your toes turn in a little bit. Take your hands to your hips. Take an inhale to lift the chest. Take the gaze up and then send your chest forward as you exhale and come into a forward fold. Let your hands come down. Your knees can bend a little bit here. If it feels okay to straighten the legs, and then try and relax your head. If you're wearing glasses, you may need to take your glasses off. See if you can walk your hands back. Spin your fingertips around. See if you can get the crown of your head to touch the mat. It might not. Not a big deal either way. And also grab your ankles here. Or just like we did in that seated forward fold earlier, you might wrap your first 2 fingers around your big toes. Use an inhale to lengthen out your spine just to sort of get the maximum stretch here. And then exhale to fold back in, sending your elbows out wide. One more round of breath here. So while we're here, we've been working on arm balances through our past few classes. Let's try a little different version of going upside down, so to speak. So tripod headstand. What's important here is for your hands to be back far enough from your face so that you can actually see the ends of your fingertips. So the impulse when you're doing a tripod headstand is to put your head right between your hands. And this kind of works, meaning you can go upside down, but it causes you to sort of roll onto your head in a way that's not great for your neck. So what you want to do is plant your hands and then have your head far enough forward so that you can actually see the ends of your fingertips. And then from here, you can play with taking your knees onto your arms. So it's a lot like crow pose with your head down. And then when you're ready, you can take one foot up and then maybe the other foot up. You can also do this with the legs wide. You want to point the toes or flex the feet. And remember, you can always bring the knees back to the arms whenever you want to. And to come out, you can roll out, just come into a squat. So that is tripod headstand, and in yoga we call it Shirshasana 2, or headstand 2. So this is a fun headstand to try. Just be careful and remember that you want the weight of your body to not be really in your head as much, or your neck as much as in your hands. Remember to really use your hands and take some of the weight out of here into here. All right, so moving on from our inversion there, anytime we go upside down, we call it an inversion. We're going to go in the other direction and come onto our backs. So when you come onto your back, bend your knees, pull them into your chest. Give yourself a few circles here, just rolling around. Nice and slow. Take your time. You can close your eyes. Just imagine you're giving yourself a little massage with the floor. And then coming to stillness, let the feet come down. Start to take your arms down by your sides so the tips of your fingers just graze your heels, and then start to lift your hips up and away. If you want, you can use your hands to support your low back. And if you want to make your way into another inversion called shoulder stand, first don't do what I'm doing, which is move your head around. Try to stay looking straight up. You want the back of your neck to be long. Try to think about hugging your elbows in toward one another. And then one at a time, you can play with taking your legs up and then maybe catching your low back with your hands. And then walking your hands toward your shoulder blades. And again, you want your elbows to be in as much as possible, so try to keep hugging your elbows in. If you feel comfortable here, you can start to bend your knees and let the tops of your feet come down. Then interlacing the fingers, start to straighten the arms. Wherever you are, keep breathing. Notice how your breath feels. When you're ready to come out, do it slowly and mindfully, taking the hands to the low back if they're not there, coming out pretty much the same way you came in, nice and slowly. Just unroll, and then bring your knees back in. Just take a few more circles here, roll around. Let's find another back bend. So this one will be a little bit deeper than our first back bend. So with the feet planted, hip distance, reach down, make sure you can tickle the backs of your heels with your fingertips, and then flip the palms right next to your ears. Now make sure your elbows are moving in. They're not out, so your weight's not in your pinkies, it's in the hands, pressing into the thumbs. And if you want to, you can start to just lift your hips. If you feel comfortable with your hips and you want to take a little more weight into your hands, keep pressing into your hands and slowly start to come all the way up. You can walk your feet in a little bit if you want to make the stretch a little bit deeper. Try to resist the urge to come onto the balls of your feet. Try to keep the heels down, and that will increase the stretch through the front of the body. So this is what we want to focus on, this stretch all through the front of the body. Try to keep breathing. Press down through your fingertips, down through the soles of your feet, through your toes. When you're ready, slowly come come on down, sort of rolling the spine down. Pull your knees in, give yourself a few circles. Doing a little massage with the floor thing again. And then once you feel like your low back is massaged, take your arms up nice and wide and letting your feet come down. Just cross one leg over the other and let your knees drop to the opposite side of the leg that's on top. So if your right leg is on top, your knees are going to drop to the left. Take some deep breaths. Try to see if both shoulder blades will come down to the floor. And the shoulder that's farthest from your knees may lift away from the floor a little bit, and that's fine. Over time, you may feel it start to relax and drop down a little bit, but if it doesn't, that's still okay. Now, inhaling, come on back to center. Slowly uncross your legs with the feet planted. Pick your hips up slowly, set them back down, and then other way. So cross your other leg on top. Scoot your hips away from the leg that you crossed on top. So if left leg is on top, hips are moving to the right. And then let your knees just drop to the side. Try to get both shoulders down. Make your back as broad, as wide as you can. And take deep, steady breaths. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. One more round of breath here. And slowly come back to center. Uncross your legs, and then crossing your ankles, grab the backs of your thighs. See if you can rock your way forward. You can always push yourself up to the side if you want as well. All right, so grab that piece of paper, wherever it was. And this was your gratitude list. So check out your gratitude list. And then from here, bring your hands to heart center. Release your chin down toward your chest. Thank you for joining me for our yoga practice. Namaste. So after our practice today, you can take your list of things that you've made that you're grateful for and spend a few minutes just jotting some things down, maybe about why you're grateful for those things, maybe about something else entirely, just something that comes to mind now that your mind is in a more restful place. So one of the main benefits of yoga is that it allows the body to slow down and the breath to slow down enough for the mind to start to slow down as well. And sometimes we're able to think a little more clearly once our breath and everything else has calmed down a bit than we can in the middle of the day when we're not breathing steadily and we're not thinking as clearly. So take some time, maybe make up a story, maybe write about the day you had, write about anything at all. Just take a few minutes, and hopefully I will see you again soon. Namaste, everyone.